back to Mom Sips and Tips.
Where
Cheers.
we sip and give tips.
Yes, all kinds of good stuff. I'm Julia.
I'm Maggie.
And we're the 2 stars of Mom Sips and Tips.
Yeah. Cheers. So let's reintroduce ourselves since it's been a while.
It's been a long time. COVID got us.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't get sick, but.
No, I didn't get it. Did you get it?
No, I didn't get it.
No,
Thank goodness. Yeah, we've been lucky. We've been really good about.
Yeah, but there was something keeping us away for a while.
Yes, I was incredibly sick because I spawned a new human being during COVID.
She was growing a new human.
Yes, she's awesome. I had my daughter, her name's Cicely, so now I've got 2 kids, Bobby and Cicely.
Mm-hmm.
Bobby's 3 and Cicely's 4 months on the 15th,
Wow.
whatever day, I don't know what day it is. Whenever the 15th is, that's when she's 4 months.
She's a quarter of a year old now.
I know, it's going fast, like faster than I thought it would, even though I've done this once, you forget. Everything.
Every one of them is different also. I also have 2 kids. Mine are adults. My daughter will be 25 the beginning of May, and my son is 22. So I'm in a different part of life.
Yes. Well, that's good though. You get 2 different perspectives, I feel like.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's hard to see things when you're in the thick of it too, so.
For sure.
I enjoy
Hindsight 2020.
I enjoy getting your perspective on all that, so.
Good. I'm glad it's useful.
Yeah. No, it is. It's really good.
So we're going to talk a little bit today about Julia's breastfeeding journey with Cicely.
Because it's been vastly different than from my breastfeeding journey with my son. So we'll give you a little backstory. My daughter was in the NICU for 2 weeks for some breathing problems, and we'll talk about that in another episode after I get a little bit feeling better about it. It was a little traumatic. So my breastfeeding journey with her has been a lot harder. Well, I'll just be honest, it's not been easy at all. My son just was like he took to the boob and I couldn't get him off of it. I don't feel like I really struggled with anything with the exception of figuring out what breastfeeding position was best for us. Right. The laid back or the football or, and once we got that down, there was no stopping him. With her, because she was in the NICU and she had to pass her bottle feed, so she had to have 8 bottle feeds within 24 hours to be able to be released. So breastfeeding, she didn't learn it immediately like most babies do.
And no one really checked to make sure that she was doing it correctly while she was in the NICU.
Yes, no, they did. So our hospital is their NICU is absolutely amazing. Once she was able to breastfeed, they did offer to let me do that, and I did it a couple times in the hospital. I did a lot of skin to skin when she was in a good place. So I just kind of thought, I was like, oh, it's gonna be like how it was with Bobby. I'm just gonna get her home and it's gonna be great. And that was nay. That was not how it went.
She latched on.
She did latch on. So
yes.
I thought everything was going really well.
Right.
And then she started losing weight. Maggie noticed it first. Maggie is she was my birth doula and is my postpartum doula. So she spends a couple nights a week, and so she spends the night. And she'll either bring her down to feed, and then we'll get her settled back to bed, or she'll give her bottles if I want a little bit of extra sleep. But
some of the signs of babies not getting enough are going to be fewer wet diapers and poopy diapers. They're obviously not going to be satisfied. They may be crying more often, wanting to feed more often. And what happens sometimes to some babies, did not happen to Cicely, is you get a baby that is failure to thrive and they stop letting you know that they're hungry. Cicely, Miss Sassy Pants, she lets you know when she wants something, and so she was letting us know that she was hungry.
I thought she was colicky, and I was like, oh, this must be what a colicky baby is. I was and I just thought it was different. I was like, every baby's different. She's just fussier. But she was, even when I took her to do her newborn pictures, I would feed her, and I thought that I had her settled to go back and do pictures, and then she would just start screaming. She was not happy.
Right.
Ever. And I'll tell you, she was a lot smaller baby. So my son was 9.5 pounds, and when she was born, she was 7'12". She lost some weight. So I think she was 7'6" when she came home, somewhere along there. So I just assumed that her wet diapers was just that was what her size made. I was just thought that that's what it was. And it wasn't until Maggie was like, this isn't really a saturated diaper. And then I was like, oh.
Yeah, and she had gone overnight without having a wet diaper, and usually newborns, I mean, every time you check, they're wet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then I went and took her into our pediatrician to get a weight check, and she had lost, I think it was like not 6 ounces. What is it?
I don't remember how much, but it was
like 0.6. It wasn't like 6 pounds. No, it was 6 ounces. It's pounds and ounces. I can do math.
It confuses me too.
Yeah. She had lost it was a large amount to where I was alarmed, and I started crying because I was like, I breastfed my son for 2 years. How did I not know I was starving my child? Like, that's a whole nother story with how I felt about that, but it really got me on the train of, I was like, you know what, I really felt passionate about that. I wanted to breastfeed her just because it was important to me. I wanted to do it if I was able. And the NICU did tell me that she would have issues as far as there could be confusion, was it nipple confusion, or she may just prefer the bottle because it's faster. So I was like kind of prepared for that, but I don't know. I just didn't know. So I called a lactation consultant. It was recommended by a girlfriend of mine. She was north of Atlanta. She's an angel. And one of the funniest people I've ever met. Like, I would go have drinks with her. She was amazing.
What's her name?
Melissa Donovan. I'll put in the description box her company's name because I have baby brain and cannot remember anything anymore. Or generally have a conversation. So, but she came over and we did her weight and everything, and she told me that because my daughter was on a ventilator, that she had weak suction. So while I thought she was eating and drawing out milk, she wasn't. And I also noticed that my breasts weren't as full. And I remember I texted a couple girlfriends. I was like, I heard on your second or third, child, like your breasts, they can be a lot softer than normal. So I also thought that was from that. But I was actually losing my milk supply, which was crazy because I had an oversupply once I had started pumping when she was in the NICU. So that was very scary. So after she assessed that, we worked on positioning because Cicely had all the things. I feel like she also had an issue turning her neck to the left because when she was on the ventilator, her head was always to the right. So she had some muscle tightness. It's not quite the torticollis. It wasn't that bad, but I had to also take her to the chiropractor to kind of fix that. So she helped me figure out positionings that would be most comfortable for her so that she would want to latch on because she wasn't wanting to latch on to my right side. So we did those, and she put me on a really strict schedule and told me this will probably take about 2 weeks, but I had to feed her for 10 minutes because I didn't want her to get too tired because then she isn't going to want to keep feeding at her next feeds. So not to overtire her. To feed her for 10 minutes, then I had to give her a bottle with a certain amount of ounces, and then I had to pump. And I had to do that every 3 hours.
Process. It was a lot. 45 minutes. And that counts as your 3 hours.
Yes, it's not from when you finish, it's from when you start. So that was very overwhelming. But I was committed to doing that. And one thing that I will say about myself that is a blessing and a curse, when I have that I'm doing this, I do it and I do it all the way. So I got into that, and 2 weeks came and went, and she had dropped some of her bottles, was doing good to where I could tell her suction was better. I feel like I had a lot more awareness as far as what that felt like. Like I said, because of my son, I feel like I never had to notice. He just kept gaining weight. But I still had to do it, and it took about 8 weeks, which was a long time.
But you did it.
I did it. I've never been prouder of myself. I'm gonna cry about it. I've never been prouder of myself for anything. That was one of the hardest things besides her being in the NICU that I've ever gone through. And I'm really proud of myself for that.
Well, let's talk about some of those ups and downs and stuff that you went through during this process. Like once you got to 2 weeks and how you felt and what you thought. And
I had a total
you
breakdown.
thought it was a deadline.
I thought I did. So that's the other thing. When I have that tunnel vision, that's what I was like, just get to 2 weeks. You can get to 2 weeks. When you get to 2 weeks, you'll be done. And I was not done. I had a really hard time letting go of that timeline. And Maggie and my husband were kind enough to sit me down and be like, because I was at this point like pulling out different types of schedules, and maybe I'll feed her for this amount of time and then do her bottle and like switch up the amount of hours, and trying to get it to meet that 2-week deadline, and it wasn't. And they sat me down and were like, basically, you need to.
Well, it's a partnership.
Yes.
And you can be on a deadline and have, you know, how you expect it to go, but there's another person.
Cicely's her own person. And I had to really realize that, which I know that sounds funny, but she was going to do it in her own time. And this is another character flaw or blessing of myself is that I'm very pushy when I was a little pushy. And she's a baby, so I can't push a baby to do that. So I kind of just had like a come to Jesus with myself, and I was like, you know what? She's her own person. If I want to do this, then I have to give her the time to do it, and I have to be okay with that.
But you were trying to find solutions, so it's not a bad thing that you were all, you know, looking at all these schedules, but you have to allow your baby to get used to one thing at a time before trying to switch it up.
Yeah, and it was like every day I was like, I'm gonna try this today because that didn't work so well yesterday, or it worked good for 2 days, and I'm gonna do this. And I was just literally just throwing everything at the wall, just kind of seeing what would stick, because I was so frustrated. I was like, why is this so hard? Like, why is this so hard?
But you started to let her lead a little bit, and after 8 weeks,
and I feel
which is a long time.
It was a long time. I feel like once I did that, she's a great breastfeeder now. We're there.
Gaining weight.
Yeah.
Growing by leaps and bounds.
Doing so good, I know.
Tall.
I will say the other thing that I did do, which I have to give props to my husband for, is for watching my son so that I was able to do this, is I would say it was like 2 weeks, I literally laid in bed with her almost all day to allow her to comfort nurse, because I wanted her to associate that with being a good thing, because I don't feel like she just wasn't taking to it like it was,
right.
You know, I don't really know how to explain
like
it.
It was work, a job.
Yeah, it was work for her to do that. So I wanted her to, whenever she would get even remotely upset, I'd be like, boom, here you go. Like, you know, and I would literally lay down with her while she napped. I would let her, you know, comfort nurse, any little thing. And that really, I feel like once I did that too, that made a big turn.
Yeah.
For us. That was great.
Yeah, it was just kind of like nurse for 2 minutes if you want, or nurse for 30 minutes if you want.
Yeah, whatever she wanted. Yeah, I just totally did it.
Yeah. Before we move on or go on to any of these products, I do want to say that this isn't for everybody. I like to tell my clients that, like, if you're anxious, or, you know, that it's just causing way too much turmoil for you, that, I mean, don't pressure yourself. You know, formula is there for a reason. And, you know, you got to take care of you first so that you can take care of your baby.
I agree. And I will say there was a point when I thought it was not going to work. And I was this close to being done. I bought a box of formula. It's still sitting on the top of my fridge in the case that I ever need it. But I wasn't, even though that's not what I wanted, I had to have done that, or where I felt like it just still wasn't working, I 100% would have done it.
Yeah.
Fed is always best. Like,
Fed is best.
You know?
And formula is nutritionally sound for babies. You hear all the negatives about it. The difference that I like to say is that your baby is going to get the nutrition that it needs. It's just not going to get like that perfectly made for her. You know, like in the minute, in the day, in the development, whatever it is that they need exactly. Like, that's the difference. It's still nutritional.
Yeah. And I still was willing to, I'll also say, I was not willing to pump full time. Like, props to you moms who do that, because I hate pumping. It's washing parts. It's just, I hate it so much. Like, it's just not my favorite. So I was willing to. Something good that Maggie also told me is if I had to have gone the formula route, but I still wanted her to have my breast milk, because I still could have just pumped like once or twice a day or something to have, just so she got a little bit of it. You don't have to just exclusively do one or the other. So I thought that was also a good tip to kind of mention.
You're still breastfeeding mom.
Yeah, that's the route that I would have gone. I just don't. Pumping is my least favorite.
And the other thing is, you know, when I used to tell people that I was a lactation educator, they go, "You need a teacher for that?" It's like, breastfeeding is natural,
Yeah.
but it is not naturally acquired as far as like mom and baby always going together so naturally.
You
is
both have to
sometimes
learn.
challenging. Yeah. And so there is help available. La Leche League, lactation consultants, lactation nurses in the hospital. Find help if you need it.
Yeah, there's so many things available, and I feel like that's something that we're, as women, not so inclined to be like, I need help with this, especially with things like breastfeeding, because I feel like we're taught that you just do it.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes you don't just do it.
You've got the plumbing, you hook the baby up.
Yeah, it's that easy. No, it's a learned thing. Just like you teach them how to eat normal food, you have to teach them how to breastfeed, and you guys have to work together, like we said, in a partnership. So, but I found so many great things that really helped me as far as with pumping. That we wanted to share with you guys. And for if you ever have any breastfeeding issues as far as like soreness, cracked nipples, what else?
Flat or inverted nipples.
Oh yeah. Oh, the other thing Cicely had was a lip tie. We also had a lip tie. I forgot about that. That was a big thing. That was another reason that she was having an issue latching on. She had a so I had to have that clipped, which was a little
traumatic.
It was not pleasant to watch.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sugarcoat that at all for you.
Yeah.
That was not, she cried, and it really was fine. Like after it was clipped, like she was a little sore that day, but she was fine after that. Like it was, but I've heard that there's places that do laser. You know, I don't know that would make it any better. I think it would still hurt.
It does.
I think either way, it still hurts. But, you know, it all is great now, so we're good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely always make sure to get checked for that if you're having any issues or extra gas. That was the other thing. She was super gassy.
So some signs and symptoms that your baby might have a lip tie or a tongue tie is gas and reflux. They only want to breastfeed 10 minutes at a time, then they fall asleep because they're having to work extra hard, and so they get exhausted. And your milk supply could go down as well because they're not latching on as well as they should. There's a number of other things. Not every baby needs a revision, but I feel like they have a better latch when they do get a revision.
It was much better, yeah.
And
it was more comfortable for me. Hers wasn't terribly painful for me. Like I know some women have severe pain, but it was like I could tell it was different. But again, I just attributed it to her issues from the NICU. I mean, honestly. So
this Nipple Shield right here.
Yes.
Good for lip ties and tongue ties. Creates a teat like a bottle nipple.
Yeah,
so
inverted nipples.
Yeah,
yeah.
Inverted nipples, flat nipples, cracked and sore and bleeding nipples.
Yes.
So it's really it's a tool. We used to say don't use them because your milk supply will go down. That's true if you're not using them correctly. So do you want to demonstrate?
Yes. And this was, I'll tell you, I used this for probably 2 weeks before Melissa came. And Maggie did send me videos that I did not watch. I just honestly, it's not that I didn't want to, I forgot about it.
You had a lot on your mind.
I did. So my Saint Melissa taught me this as far as how to properly use a breast shield. So I'm going to, here, will you put your hand behind here so maybe, so that they, so they can. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to grab the breast shield with your, your index finger and your thumb and pull it. And you're going to take your middle fingers and you're going to go right there on that nipple part and just pop it in.
Which will create a suction.
Yes. And so Melissa told me to express some milk and put it in the tip. And I did that at first, and I'll be honest, afterward I stopped because I was lazy. But then you're gonna put it, hold my boob please. You're gonna pop it right there on it, and then you're just gonna pop it down, and it'll be suction. Normally, well, this is a yarn crochet boob.
It
will be stuck.
works
I was gonna say
well.
it'll be stuck on here. This will be stuck down.
Yeah.
And it's so comfortable. These are so great. I didn't want to use this because I thought the same thing. I was like, it's not going to be good for my already tanking supply, and what's wrong with my nipples? Like, why won't this work?
So the downside of using them is if you don't use them right, your milk supply can go down, your baby's weight can go down because they're not getting enough. And a lot of babies get attached to them, and so your whole breastfeeding experience is attached to a nipple shield where you have to have like 20 of them.
And that was the house. That was, I was just saying, I think I had like 15 of them that I had bought because I couldn't keep up. I had some in my room, the living room, the kitchen, some in my bag, everywhere.
Right. It's like, hold on, I know you're hungry, I know you're screaming, but I gotta get this thing on.
Let me flip this on,
right?
Yeah. But it was very helpful.
Yeah.
And my other concern was getting her off of it because I was like, well, man, that's gonna be one more thing. But I will say, It was so funny. One night I was...
Cicely's timing.
It was when she wanted to do it, and it literally was only like a couple weeks after I got, maybe only a week. It wasn't long after I got her completely off her bottle. So she literally took her head and was like, she went like this. She was like, and kept knocking it off. And it's 3 a.m. So I'm like, would you please stop? And literally she did that 5 or 6 times. And then finally I was like, you know what? There you go, take it. Just like me being like a little sassy little.
It was 3
And then she was like, and I was like, oh my God, she's doing it. She's doing it. This is the greatest thing ever. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And so then we went back to sleep, and I was like, that could have been a fluke. Like her next couple of feeds, I tried doing it again, and she was pissed. She kept taking her nose and just womping it off my nipple. And she just did it. So that's one thing I will say, like, I'm so thankful that I got that little break with that. Just because, like I said, everything else I felt like was so hard. So that was like, that was awesome.
She's got her own timing.
She
so
does.
She's teaching mom some things. Some reasons why you would want to put drops of milk into the shield before attaching it is, one, it helps with keeping it on, so like an adhesive, and also having some breast milk inside it is enticing for baby as they are latching on. So
Yes.
those are some reasons why you might want to put milk inside.
And this is a Medela one. They have different sizes of them too. They do have like a measuring guide on their website to tell you which ones, but there are a couple other, I can't talk, different companies that make different shield shapes. Like I've seen ones that have like more pointed or like there's all kinds of different. So like I said, this was just the one that was at my CVS. My girlfriend brought them over to me one day. She was so kind. So I just tried this first and it worked. But if this doesn't work, there's all kinds of different companies, and we'll link some down below for you too.
Yeah. So some other helpful products. The Haka.
Yes.
Everyone should own a Haka.
It's really good, yeah. Also didn't know how to use that at first and didn't watch the video that Maggie sent me.
There are some women who are able to use this to store up milk. It is not recommended. It's not just a me thing that you use this as your only pump.
Yeah.
What this is good for is taking the edge off when you have engorgement. Or putting on one side while baby's on the other to collect some milk, so that if you don't want to have a full pump thing for an occasional bottle, not for an everyday and not for an all day.
Yeah, okay. I did that more with Cicely when she was first born because I had so much more milk. I felt like I used it more then. When I remember to use it now, though, it does get a lot. Like in the morning time when she's nursing on one side, it does give you a lot of milk.
Yeah,
so
I mean, you're leaking on the other side anyway, you may as well catch it.
Yeah,
right?
And store it, yeah.
So this brand is a Haka. That's probably what most people have heard of, but they do have off brands also. They run about like $8 or $9.
Yeah, they're not expensive.
On Amazon, there's so many different versions of it. It's great. Do you want to demonstrate how to put that one on?
So the same thing, you're going to flip this top up. I don't know if you guys can see that okay. And then you're just going to place it on the nipple. You're going to want to center it, and then you're going to want to squeeze in slightly. Now don't do what I did the first time I used it and squeeze it the whole way. Then you're going to flip it over and let go, and it's going to create that suction, and it's going to draw out the milk that you have in your breast. If you do it that full way, it hurts. It also, this is so terrible, it makes your nipple look like a penis. Like it goes, it's the... I don't know if I should say that or not. It was so funny when I saw it. I was like, it draws it out extremely long, and it is very painful, and it will crack and chap your nipples. Don't do it. So only do it about no more than halfway is what Maggie told me. I really feel like even just a slight is it's totally fine. Yes.
And it just depends on. I mean, you really just need a suction.
Yeah.
That,
enough to where you feel like you can see it dripping out is sufficient.
Yeah.
Yes, not the whole way.
Yeah. So since we've brought up cracked and dried and bloody nipples a couple of times, what are some of the remedies that you used to, since you were a pumping mom for a long
so I was
time?
pumping full time, every 2 to 3 hours, and it really worked a number on my nipples. It was not pleasant. In one specific case, when I was pumping in the NICU, so I had the medical grade, the Medela pump, which is fantastic. I accidentally knocked the knob to like it went almost all the way up, and I gave myself blood blisters on my nipples. Like, it literally took like 2 seconds.
So that's a very common way for people to damage their nipples, is to turn the machine up all the way, thinking that they're gonna get more milk out.
And I'll preface this by saying I was doing it too high already because I thought that it would get my milk out faster, or I would make more, and that's not, whatever is comfortable is gonna help you get the most milk out. So I actually ended up getting some pink Himalayan salt, and I had just a little glass little dish, just like a Tupperware dish from my kitchen, and I would fill it up with hot water and mix the salt water in it, and I would literally just sit on the counter like this and lay my boob in it. And it dried up that blood blister overnight, and really, like, within 2 days, like, my nipples were fine. They were still a little swollen, but they were a lot better. So anytime where I feel like where I might have done that, I'll do that at night a couple of times.
And of course you put breast milk on it and let it dry, right?
Yes.
The best ointment in the world.
Yes. Sometimes I did that when I was, because sometimes it hurts, that specific time it hurt too bad to even squeeze, so I did not do it. But normally I'll put that on it and it'll. But when you do that after you soak it, you do want to make sure that you either dry it off or wipe it off with a little bit of water, because if you leave that salt on there, it'll actually irritate it a little bit further.
And you know, the same thing with your baby's saliva. If you have cracked or burning sore nipples, you actually want to gently wash off your baby's saliva, because there's an enzyme in your baby's saliva that eats the food, right? That and it will eat your nipple.
Yeah, and that's true. I felt that too.
So
it burns.
You want to gently wipe off baby's saliva when you're having nipple pain.
And then a lot of times I would use, we'll pretend this is the nipple cream. I grabbed the Diaper Bomb. These are my 2 favorite nipple creams. The Mother Love nipple cream, also great for pumping and lining your shields with. And then the Earth Mama Angel Baby, their nipple cream is fantastic as well. What is it? The Lancino? Yes, Lancino is great too. It's just so sticky. I like, Maggie knows, it's hard to wash off of pump parts and stuff like that. Like, it leaves like a really thick film. It's, like I said, works great too. I just don't like the way that it feels. These are like beeswax, like olive oil, beeswax, shea butter, marshmallow root, calendula flowers. Like, it's like all natural. If you're a little more crunchy, you'll like these a lot.
You also want to use things that, like, when you are breastfeeding, you don't have to wash it off before you latch your baby.
Yeah, and these don't. You can go ahead and feed them right after too.
They're also good for diaper bombs.
Yes, this is actually the Diaper Bomb that I grabbed.
But I usually recommend Lancino because it's great. It's great healing.
Yeah, it works kind of like, it's thick like a what's that called that people tell you to put on tattoo?
Emollient. Oh,
like the Aquaphor.
Okay.
It's kind of thick like how that is.
Okay.
Well, not these. The Lancino. So some of my other favorite things that I found was, this is the Lavi massagers, and there's 2 different ones. So originally I got this one, and it's great because it vibrates at all kinds of different speeds and like patterns, and you can turn it up and down. It has this little nubby side that you can dig out if you have a what's it called?
Plug duct.
You also have the side where you can kind of like scoop, and I would scoop out and towards my nipple. That was very
Those are your milk ducts.
Oh, that's cool. So this is great. The only thing that I didn't like about this is I was wanting to use it more as a massager every time. So then I found that they made these, and they're my favorite. They have got heat on them, a low and a high heat, and massaging with different massage speeds. And this is like chef's kiss. These are amazing. They're my most favorite. You just stick them in your bra right here when you're pumping, and I get out 3 times as much milk with these. I found even with a clogged duct, when I put it on there, it breaks it up immediately. That's so good. Everybody needs these. You're also charge them with a little USB port. It comes with like a little dual charger. That's the only thing, is I'm terrible at remembering to charge them. These are usually only good for about, if you use the heat on high, for 2 to 3 pumps before you have to charge them. If you use it on low, you might get 3 to 4. So I just keep the charger close to my bed or right in my bathroom, and then that way I can remember to plug them in like every other day or something like that.
But if you don't have those,
yes, these are great. These are by, what's it called, Lilla Buds. They are just little sacks, and they have them filled with like a rice and like lavender flowers or different scents. But you can heat these in the microwave and just stick them on your breast a little bit, like 10 minutes before you pump or feed. Or you can stick them in the freezer too. So if you've had a clogged duct or... So every company has their own breast shields. I have the Medela ones just because I have a Medela pump. And this is the Personal Fit Flex Shield. And this is their old shield. So they did a study, the new, either the Flex or the ones that are more oval like this as opposed to a round will give you, I think it's like 12 or 13% more milk. I do notice a difference when I pump. I get more milk with these than I do with these. Something about how it like cups the breast different. And then when you pump it like massages it differently. So I really like these. And I like the Flex ones. They're just a lot more comfortable, I feel.
And one of the things about breast shields, aka flanges, is that if you're using the wrong size, you won't get enough, or I don't want to say you won't get enough, you won't get as much of an output as you could. So the right size breast shield is very important. Most of the time people are using breast shields that are too big because they think that more of their areola needs to go into the breast shield, which is incorrect.
I did that. But let me tell you my reasoning. This is a lot of information. My right nipple is bigger, a little bit bigger than my left nipple, which I didn't know until I had to pump so many times a day, and my nipples would swell. So this one would then, when it would get swollen, would be significantly bigger than this one. So I sized up thinking that it was good, but that didn't work for my left one, which leads us into these.
I remember the day she discovered these.
I literally could have cried because I was like, still pumping so much and it hurt so much. I was like, how do people do this for a year? Like, this is miserable.
Nipple cream.
Oh, so much nipple cream. Oh my gosh. Like, I was going through just like tubs of these. I'd started using the lash, whatever, no one. Because I was like, maybe this will be better. I don't know. And then Maggie had sent me an article about different breast pump cushions and things that maybe would be helpful. So I like read through them and I just decided to try this. I don't even know if I'm saying this right. Bogen. I don't know how to say that, but it's these little, they're a little sticky. They come in this little package like this, and you literally just line it in your breast shield. And I believe it takes it down like a half a size from whatever your number, the millimeters on your flange. I keep saying shield, whatever's on your breast shields. Oh, it is? Oh, okay. So I was able to go back down to my normal side flange, and it's like pumping your nipple on clouds. It's so comfortable. It like no pain at all. Like I do not have pain at all when I pump. They are magical. I'm not really sure. That's like a food grade plastic, I think it was, that it's made out of.
Like silicone, but it doesn't quite feel like silicone.
It's an odd feeling. Like I said, it's a little sticky, so it's a little odd. But if you pump, you need these. They are amazing. And my output, like I think the first time I pumped with them, I pumped out 9 ounces. Like it was insane. Like, and that's,
yeah.
I was like, we're still going.
So correct size hole.
Yes.
And comfort.
Yeah. But I was using the bigger flange, breast shield, whatever, because when I used a smaller one, it would rub and irritate my already swollen nipples.
Right.
So that's why I sized up, but then I was still not getting as much milk out. So these really, they saved my nipples. They're like, the only downside that I will say to these is the price. I think it's one pair is like $20. And they say that you can use them for like 2 to 8 weeks. Or if you see like mold or anything grow on them, obviously throw them away. I've not had any of mine rip or anything like that. And that was even with pumping full time. I just pump once a day now, like I said. So I still have, I think I've gone through like 2 other pairs, and I have 2 pairs out, 2 or 3 pairs out now. Just because I don't like to wash all my stuff every time I use it.
That's all right.
And, but they're so amazing. So, but that's the only downside. But you know what? I would pay it twice over. I feel like it's worth it. And I feel like if you're, gentle with them when you wash it and stuff like that, you won't have an issue with them.
There is a shield, well, there used to be a shield made by Amita, which is who makes Lancino, called the Comfort Shield. And it actually had like something similar like this that was actually built in. So those might still exist also.
Oh yeah, I haven't tried those. Those might be amazing too. Whatever works.
So what else you got?
Oh, also, the Medela Tender Care Hydrogel pads. So good. The thing with these though is you do, and if you would read the instructions like I should have done first, there's a pattern here with me not doing these types of things. You want to wet it first before you put it on, because then it's not too sticky and it feels amazing.
And you can put them in the freezer too.
We'll be doing that next time. I have not tried that. These are so good. When I was having all this soreness and this swelling, I would use these like once or twice a day. They say to wipe them off after you use them. I did have a nurse tell me, several nurses tell me that you don't have to do that, but it is recommended that you wipe them off after. I didn't do it. It was fine. It's just me. But also the Lavi Pump Bra. So good. Their whole, everything that they make is amazing. It's so good. And I ordered all these off of Amazon. It gave me a lot more compression. Also, I used this the first night that I used these, and I don't know if it was them in conjunction or not. It's so comfortable. I had the Medela Bra before like that, and I felt like it would like dig in the top, and it just wasn't comfortable. And this is it. I pumped out more. It says it helps you pump out like a percentage more, and it definitely does. Like this is like. Also highly recommend for anybody. It's so comfortable. I like using the strap with it just for a little bit extra support, because my boobs are a lot bigger right now. And it just works better for me. These are amazing. And then you can stick your little massagers right in there as well. So highly recommend the Lavi Pump Bra. So good. And it's a cute color.
Yeah. So how's breastfeeding going now? Are you pumping? You said you're pumping one.
Yeah, so I pump at night, just because that's most convenient for me. And I still, I do it like 2 hours after our last feed. And I still feel like I get more than like a full serving out. So I've just stuck with that. As opposed to the morning time, which I know a lot of people recommend. But no, breastfeeding is going so good. Like she's just like, it's like almost like we had no problems at all. Like she's like, and now when she's hungry and she wants it, she lets you know.
I will say that, I mean, as a doula, I do recommend, and a lactation educator, I do recommend that if you think you're ever going to have to give your baby a bottle because you're going to a wedding or whatever, they don't have to take bottles. They can drink out of cups, but that you do give your baby a bottle at least every other day, so that you know that they do take it, that they will continue to take it, and 6 months down the road, if you need them to take it, that they will take it. So, giving a bottle once a day or once every other day is good.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's great. And it's great. It's a good opportunity for my husband to have just that kind of one-on-one time with her, and for them to have a little bit more bonding. I did that with my son too. I think it was like after it was like 6 or 8 weeks, I started pumping once a day. Well, not every day, but and then I would let my husband give her a bottle. I'm gonna start doing that, where I confuse him now all the time. Give him a bottle as well, and he enjoyed that a lot. So yeah, no, but it's going so good. I'm happy that I stuck with it. Hardest thing I've ever done, but I'm glad that I did it. Like I said, very proud of myself.
There is help.
Yes, help available. Yes, and that was, like I said, the one thing that I don't know why. I just didn't want to ask for help. And I strongly encourage you, yes, ask your friends if anyone's used one. Like I said, mine was recommended by one of my best friends, and I have to get her on here so she can tell the story about her with Melissa, because I'm not going to tell it because it's not my story, but it's so good. About how she found her too with her baby. But she's fantastic. Like I said, Melissa Donovan. She's in I think it's Alpharetta, so that's north.
Yeah, but she came down to you. So.
She did. That was fantastic, because a lot of people aren't doing that right now. But
yeah, it's hard to find lactation consultants that will come into your home. A lot of them are doing virtual, and while that's great, it's not perfect. None of the virtual stuff is perfect right now.
But she did also offer, like, as follow-up if I wanted to do a virtual, or to have her come back down, that she would do that too. So yeah, I think it's good to find somebody that's kind of a little bit more flexible if you need that.
And better if you can have them come to your home using your furniture, your pillows, your noise that's going on in your house, versus going into someone's clean office and then not being able to figure it out.
I'll tell you, when I breastfed with Cicely in the hospital, she did it fantastic. Like, even the lactation consultant there was like, this doesn't normally happen. She's doing a great job. Like, she latched right on, like, had no problems. But when we got home, like I said, she started getting tired, and that's when all the problems were coming up with her latch and stuff like that. So yeah. So Let us know if you guys have any other things that you found on your pumping or your breastfeeding journey that you think's amazing. Put it down in the comments below. We'd love to hear that. I'm always willing to try something new and amazing if it makes the experience more pleasant for pumping, for sure.
Yeah, we'll add all the links and the names of stuff that we've talked about today and maybe some extras. If you happen to be up at 3 a.m. and you have a question about breastfeeding, kellymom.com is my favorite breastfeeding website.
Yes, I go on there all the time for everything, yes.
Yeah,
so
you'll get information from La Leche League to the science behind it. And, you know, speaking of that, let's talk about the alcohol.
The drinking while breastfeeding. Because there's so many, I've heard so many different things about this.
Yeah.
And this is one thing that we wanted to touch on.
25 years ago, we used to say, if you're going to drink a drop, pump a dump, pump a dump. But now we know very little of the alcohol passes through the breast milk. So if you know you're going to be having a drink, which is totally okay, breastfeed your baby first. And then by the time it's time to breastfeed again, usually the alcohol is going to be out of your system if you've had one or two. If you are feeling buzzed or definitely drunk, then pump it and dump it and give your baby a bottle of other breast milk.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But it's not, I mean, it's fine to have alcohol. And kellymom.com, like I said, will give you that type of information of like, what does the Leche League say about it? What is the science behind it as far as like how much is actually in the breast milk and how long you have to wait type of stuff.
Yeah. And there was one thing that I've heard that I would like to bring up that people have said, if you can find your baby, you can feed your baby. That's right to a certain extent. If you feel, but I've been very inebriated before and I could still find where my baby was. Did not mean that I should feed her and did not. So if you feel loopy at all, don't feed them.
Right.
I would just like to clear that up because I feel like some people use that a little bit to where, whatever, we're not going to get into that, but.
So no hate about any of this stuff that we've talked
like
about
I said,
today.
tell us any positive stories you guys have down below. Like, we'd like to hear everyone's journey. And like I said, any tips that you'd like to share if you just want to talk about it or if you just need to vent, because let me tell you what, sometimes just venting about how bad something sucks is very helpful.
Yeah.
So it was for me. Yeah.
And if you had to give up for whatever reason, there's no shame. No. Stop feeling guilty.
Yeah. Fed, like I said, fed is always best. Had this not worked out, I would have been fine giving her formula.
I like to say sane is best.
Yeah, so yes, sane is also best. Yes, for sure. So thank you guys for joining us. I know this one was a little bit longer. We had so much good stuff to share and we've got so many great videos coming down the pipeline. Lots of new stuff I know that I've learned with the second child, and like I said, with the NICU experience, and we'll go over that too. I've got a good video idea for tips for making NICU stays easier as far as pumping and things like that. So that'll be a really good one. So anything, like I said, questions you have, put them down below. We'd love to hear from you, and
like us, share us.
Yes. We'll be back on our social media and stuff too. We kind of slacked over the last year. I'm gonna tell you, I was really sick when I was pregnant. I cared about nothing. So it's totally, I'm gonna put that on me.
Don't put it on you.
A little bit. It's okay, but thanks guys.
Cheers.
Cheers. We'll see you later.